You said something when you were talking about Jamie Dimon. You
Yeah.
said Jamie. When you were talking about Rupert Murdoch in 21st Century Fox, you said Rupert. How comfortable are you navigating power like that? And how have you become that comfortable with it? I know you came from a background in government.
You know, honestly, if you've worked in the White House, I don't think you're ever intimidated again. The miracle of the White House is that everybody shows up at your doorstep, and that experience of government and the sense of we're all just people, and everybody is actually just a person, does allow you, it gives you the comfort.
So how do you take that knowledge and maybe translate it to people that you're mentoring? What do you do when you have a junior female broker who grew up in Long Island? How do you say, look, it's important that you can do this?
What I would say to you is they need to connect themselves to somebody who can bring them into the room. You have to get into the room where it happens. That's, by the way, not just true about brokerage. It's true in all business, right? You have to have a point of entry to that. And I can tell you, and I think of the women in my own firm, whether it's Lauren Crowley Coronet or Ramnik Riki or Sarah Ponchas, these are CBRE women, they have that access.
And is that enough, these sort of circles of support that have popped up and evolved, is that enough? You had to power through a lot of things. And a lot of things that are in the conversation now weren't even, that didn't exist. You wouldn't talk about inappropriate behavior or comments or things like that. I'm thinking specifically about what happened with Sam Zell a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. Sam Zell has said this stuff all his life. All his life.
Right.
The only thing that's changed is people are calling him out on it now.
Right.
Where do you think we stand as an industry when it comes to issues of gender diversity, sexual harassment, addressing problems head on, and where would you like to see it go?
Well, certainly, I want to say to you that there is a spectrum that when things normalize a bit more, we're going to begin to acknowledge. It's a very different thing if we're talking about any kind of physical aggression. It's a very different thing if we're talking about using power to get something you want in a sexual sense and thereby diminishing somebody. If you're talking about chat, which I'm going to tell you is where I put the Sam Zell quote, the idea that you're going to expunge from, this is not worth the heartbeats.
But tell me, I mean, you've seen this in brokerage, and you talked about physical violence. There are instances that we've heard about that people are afraid, but there have been instances of physical violence as well.
And there has to be a zero tolerance policy for that at any firm. But I want to tell you that on the verbal side,
Sure.
I am a believer that part of the responsibility falls to the person, to the woman listening to it. It is so part of the DNA of our industry that I got a phone call Thursday night last week. I'm out at dinner. It's 9 and change at night. And I get on with the broker who shall remain nameless, who says we're negotiating a deal, and he wants to do this, that, and the other. We've sent him a request for proposal. And so I'm tired, and I'm thinking, why is he calling me about this on my cell at this hour of the night? And I say, do me a favor. Just follow the expletive form. Do not be calling me about this. And he says, has anyone told you how sexy you are when you curse? Okay? And I say to him, I'm sure you tell that to Bob Alexander as well. So that was the end of that conversation.
He wasn't speaking from a position of power.
Correct.
You're speaking from a position, if you try some shit with me, forgive me. If you try some shit with me,
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
But that is exactly what I hope we are empowering. I'm now talking about our industry. We are empowering the women in our industry to turn around and say, really? Don't do that again. And I can tell you that one of the positive effects of the #MeToo era is the idea of public shaming that could well end up in termination, etc. So I think that a woman who pushes back at that moment, what she has behind her is the impact of what's been happening over the last year or so. And she needs to be able to use that force. Again, I'm not for making it a major incident. I'm for like pushing it back. And if it goes beyond that, then you escalate. But in the first instance, these are people just saying stupid stuff that's coming out of their mouth. and you just need to retrain them, although you're not going to retrain a 76-year-old man.
I see that. Look at the entertainment industry, right? Starting with Harvey Weinstein and then all the dominoes topple.
Yes.
Look at media, right? Look at real estate.
Yes.
You really think that that's all we've got? You really think that there's no big reckonings to be had?
No one could be clearer on this than I, that it's something that the industry needs to correct. And also, I don't think anybody has a deeper understanding that there is no single action that will do it. It's each of us dealing with it on a case-by-case basis and letting the punishment fit the crime. Because I don't want a world in which, it's funny, I have a nephew who just turned 21, and I said to him, Elliot, it must be hard to date today because, you just don't know what vibes, are coming back and forth. He said, oh no, he calls me auntie. No, auntie, I don't have a problem. So I said, really, Elliot, why is that? He said, because I talk to women. And it was this interesting moment where I realized he was absolutely right. He was having conversations with women so that he felt like he had some idea. I want us to be in a world where we're conversing with one another and that we're not on a hunt. But if someone steps over the line or you feel that they have, that you feel empowered enough to confront it. And if that's not enough, you feel also that you've got a firm that has your back and is going to act on it.